And we are back. Welcome to my preview and predictions for La Liga Game Week 27. Now, I know what you're all thinking, and yes, this video is free to view because I have made the decision to go back to making all videos from now on free to view for all of you to watch. I've got a video coming out tomorrow giving like a full explanation of why I've made the decision, but basically it makes more sense to make all the videos free to view. That's the long story short. Check out tomorrow morning's video when I do a little bit of a deeper dive onto why I'm making this decision. But what it means for all of you guys is you do get access to my La Liga videos for the last 2 weeks of the season, as well as my Women's Champions League final prediction coming out in a couple of weeks as well. In terms of this series, for those of you who haven't been watching so far, this is where we stand. We're on 47 out of 80 with 10 correct scores, and for the second week in a row, we went 7 out of 10 for the midweek fixtures in La Liga. Now, for those of you who don't know, La Liga fixtures this weekend are all taking place at the same time. They're 6 p.m. UK time on Sunday, which is why I'm bringing you this video on Saturday morning. And what I've decided to do is, rather than do it alphabetically or just in the list that it's given on all the other websites, I'm doing it in sort of like a story. Whenever there's always all these games played at the same time, I always like to try and tell a sort of story as I go through the predictions, just to make the video flow a bit nicer. So that's what I've tried to do here. Before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video if you do enjoy all of my prediction and preview series. And without any further ado, we're going to start right at the bottom of the La Liga table, and we're going to start things off with Valladolid taking on Deportivo Alaves. Now, Valladolid lost yet again in midweek. I don't think it's any surprise at this point. They quite literally lose every single game at the moment. Alaves, on the other hand, they got an absolutely huge victory over Valencia, which means that they are now 4 points clear of the drop zone with just 2 games to play, which means if they can win against Valladolid, who lose every single game, they are going to be safe, which is fantastic news for them. In terms of the team news, for Valladolid, both Chucky and Parente both went off with injuries in their last game, and Alaves have no fresh injury concerns coming to this whatsoever. And the good news is, even if they do fail to win this game, they could potentially still stay up this weekend anyway, because Las Palmas and Leganes, as you can see in the next fixture, they're playing each other. And if that game ends in a draw, Las Palmas and Leganes will both be relegated. So there are a lot of good reasons for Alaves to be confident going into this weekend. The one thing that does work against them is that in the reverse fixture, Valladolid did win it 3-2 earlier on this season. However, that was a long, long time ago. Valladolid have lost so many games in a row, and the momentum is with Alaves at the moment. And I'm going to kick things off with a 1-0 victory to Alaves. That would mean that whatever happens in our next game, Las Palmas would be relegated. Even if they win, they are so far behind Alaves that if Alaves win, Las Palmas are relegated. And Alaves are the only side that Las Palmas can overtake to stay up. They cannot catch Getafe, they cannot catch Espanyol. So for Las Palmas, they will be down whatever happens in this game. For Leganes, they simply have to win as well. If they fail to win, they are down as well. So it is absolute scenes, this game. This is the biggest game of the weekend. I don't care what anyone says. This is the game. Both sides have to win or they're relegated, and Las Palmas can be relegated even if they win. In terms of the team news coming into this, it's not good news for Las Palmas because their Liverpool loanee Stefan Bajajetic went off injured, and Mika Marmol picked up a yellow card, should I say, in the last game, which means he is going to be suspended. There are no fresh concerns for Leganes coming into this, although they are going to need to bounce back from what was a poor display in their 3-0 defeat in midweek. Both sides, in fact, lost in midweek. The good news for Leganes is that they did win the reverse fixture 2-1. Honestly, I would normally say that I think the most likely result here would be a draw, but with so much on the line, I do think one of these two sides is going to nick it one way or another. Like I say, if it is a draw, both sides get relegated. So for me, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think someone's going to nick it. And right now, I think it's going to be Las Palmas because they have won their last 3 home games against Leganes. So I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Las Palmas. If results go like that, then there are no worries for Getafe or Espanyol going into their respective games against sides chasing European places. But we'll start off with Mallorca and Getafe here, because it's Getafe who right now are in the worser position, shall we say, out of the two teams that are sort of safe but not really safe. Because Getafe have lost their last 6 games in a row, meaning that they are now only 5 points from safety, but they do only need 1 point to secure it. The problem they've got is that they're coming up against a Mallorca side that is just 1 point off the European places, and their final game is against Celta Vigo, another side competing for Europe. So for Mallorca, this is the game they're going to be targeting as an absolute must win. And also for Getafe, they haven't scored in any of their last 5 either. Not only have they lost the last 6, they've not even scored in the last 5. In terms of the team news, it's going to be Gene that is suspended, but Mallorca have no injury concerns coming out of their game against Real Madrid in midweek. Mallorca aren't actually on the best of form at the moment. They've lost 3 of their last 4, but the last 2 have been against Barcelona and Real Madrid, so I think we can sort of let them off in that regard. The reverse fixture was also a 1-0 win for Mallorca away at Getafe in December. For me, it's Mallorca's game to lose. They should definitely be considered the favourites, and I'm going for a 2-0 victory to Mallorca. 1 point above Mallorca, we find Osasuna, who will also be thinking that they have got a very good chance of qualifying for Europe from the position that they are currently in, off the back of getting an impressive 2-0 victory over Atletico Madrid in midweek. They're also coming up against a side that is massively out of form and is still not safe yet. Espanyol have lost their last 4. They are also 5 points from the relegation zone. But again, if results go as I've predicted for those first 2 games, they will be safe whatever happens in this match. But their recent form is really, really poor right now. And I think with Osasuna in the position that they're in, and with Osasuna having the knowledge that in the next game we're going to talk about, Celta Vigo and Vallecano are going to be playing each other, they know that if they win this game, they will be going above at least one of these 2 sides. So I think, again, there's a massive possibility, or I say massive possibility, there's a massive expectation from my side that Osasuna are going to get the victory here. Espanyol, if you want any other reason for it, haven't got a victory over Osasuna since 2017. But they did get a 0-0 draw earlier on this season. However, Espanyol are going to be without Cabrera. He got a straight red card against Barcelona in midweek. Again, for me, I think there's only going to be one winner. I think it's going to be Osasuna. But Espanyol can be defensively solid at times, so I'm only going for a 1-0 victory. Then we come to the other absolutely huge game taking place in La Liga on Sunday afternoon. It is Celta Vigo and Rayo Vallecano. As things stand, Celta are 4 points clear of Vallecano and Osasuna. So victory means that they are guaranteed a Europa League spot for next season, because they simply won't be catchable anymore. Even if they draw, they're going to be in a very, very strong position, because it would require Osasuna and Mallorca to both win, and then Mallorca to beat Celta Vigo, and Osasuna to win their last game for Celta Vigo to miss out on the Europa League. They're in a really strong position here. But for Vallecano, they are on a very good run of form as well at the moment, and they managed to get a 2-2 draw against Champions League chasing Real Betis in midweek as well. So both sides, I think, are really in a good spot right now. But I do think that the favourite should definitely be considered Celta Vigo here. Their home form is exceptional at the moment. In terms of the team news, there's actually no fresh injury concerns for either side as things stand coming into this game. But in the head-to-head record, it is Vallecano that have the slight advantage after getting a 2-1 victory in January. To be honest, there really isn't a lot to split them right now. I do think there is possibilities of a draw here. And I even think there are possibilities of a Vallecano victory. But like I said, Celta Vigo's home form over the last couple of weeks, especially when you consider they beat Villarreal 3-0 at home a couple of weeks ago, I think they are going to take another victory here. I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Celta Vigo. What that means is that the side furthest away from Europe right now, Valencia, are going to be absolutely desperate to get a victory against Bilbao, because they are now a little bit further back. They're 2 points behind Mallorca, which is obviously a further point back from Osasuna and Vallecano, and then obviously even further back to Celta Vigo. So for Valencia, it's really do or die for them. For Bilbao, they're actually in a pretty decent spot now. They got a victory in midweek. They're guaranteed Champions League football for next season. And they've even got the possibility of catching Atletico Madrid above them, but also potentially losing out to Villarreal below them. So it is a game that they can't afford to slip up in, but at the same time, they are pretty safe. And like I say, Valencia, after they lost in midweek in a crucial game for them after a 10-game unbeaten run, it does sort of destabilise where I think this game could go. In terms of the team news, there are actually no fresh injury concerns again for either side coming into this one. No suspensions as well. The only question is, again, surrounding the two Williams brothers for Bilbao. And as things stand, it doesn't look like they're going to make this one. Potentially not going to see them for the remainder of this season. But they do have Sanchez back in attacking midfield for them. Like I said, I think there was a decent chance of Valencia getting the victory here if they didn't lose in midweek. But now that they have, I just think it's a little bit less likely they're going to get the result. The last two meetings between these two clubs have actually ended in 1-0 home wins, which includes Bilbao winning 1-0 earlier on this season, Valencia winning 1-0 last season. I just don't think there's going to be too much that happens in this game. I would be tempted to go for another Bilbao win, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see a rather lame and boring 0-0 draw for Valencia and Bilbao. As we've just mentioned, if Bilbao do drop points, that could open the door for Villarreal to close the gap to them as they look to get automatic Champions League qualification rather than going into the playoffs, I believe, if they finish 5th. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I believe 5th place only goes into qualifications. If I am wrong, I do apologise. But regardless, Villarreal will get to better seeding if they end up finishing 4th over Bilbao. And if Bilbao do slip up, they will have the opportunity to close the gap. Problem is, they're playing against Barcelona, who have just won the league title, and this is their final home game of the season. So the likelihood is they are going to play their full first team as a final spectacle in front of the home fans before they then lift the trophy at the end of the game. If Barcelona do play their reserves, I definitely think Villarreal have a good chance of getting a result here. But my understanding at this point is that Barcelona are going to go strong for this game. In terms of the actual team news, though, there are actually no concerns, again, for either side coming into this game. It's an interestingly close one to call, but I think with Barcelona's form at the moment, they've just won the title, they're in a good mood. They also won 5-1 in the away fixture at Villarreal earlier on this season. So I think there's a lot of reasons to go for a Barcelona result here. I'm going to go for 3-1, but like I said, maybe just check the starting lineups before you make your final decisions on this game. If Barcelona play their reserves, Villarreal are still playing for something. That then means we have Atletico Madrid taking on Real Betis. And as things stand, Betis can still catch Villarreal. That's the one thing I didn't mention from the last game. Villarreal are 5 points clear of Real Betis as things stand. So they still need 2 more points to guarantee themselves Champions League football for next season. So that may play into how they approach the Barcelona game. For Real Betis, they simply have to win. There is no doubt about it. If Betis draw, and even if Villarreal lose, that's a 4-point gap with 1 game left. Betis can't qualify for the Champions League. They're already in a Europa Conference League final that can qualify them for the Europa League, but they're also guaranteed to finish in the Europa League places in La Liga regardless. So essentially this is a free hit against Atletico Madrid. And let's not forget, Atletico Madrid did just lose to Osasuna. So they can't even catch Real Madrid now. They're potentially at threat from Bilbao if Bilbao beat Valencia. Again, a reminder, all these games are being played at the exact same time. But from what I saw of Madrid at the weekend, they just didn't really look that bothered. And with what Betis are playing for, there is a real opportunity for Betis to get a result here. In terms of the team news, both sides have injuries from the midweek fixtures. Atletico Madrid did risk Barrios. I said in my members-only video on Monday morning that I didn't think they would risk him because he would massive injury risk. And lo and behold, he got injured. So he's going to miss this one. And for Real Betis, they're going to be without Sabali. He went off in the first half of their draw against Vallecano. However, like I just said, I don't think Atletico Madrid are particularly up for this. I think Betis will get themselves the result they need here to take that Champions League race to the final day. I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Real Betis. But if you're not that confident about it, Just bear this in mind because Atletico Madrid have won their last 6 home fixtures against Real Betis, but Betis did win the reverse fixture earlier on this season. So it's a tight one. It's a tough one to call, but given the fact it's the end of the season, and I don't think Atletico Madrid care that much, I'm going to give Betis the win. And that then leaves 2 games that essentially mean little to nothing. We start off with Sevilla taking on Real Madrid. As predicted, Sevilla got the victory they needed to stay up in midweek. And basically they are now just in the void of La Liga mid-table. For Real Madrid, there is nothing they can do. If they lose both games for the remainder of the season, they still finish second. So their focus is now going to be on the Club World Cup. I'm sure that they just want to get some legs in some players that potentially haven't played as much over the last few weeks. They do still have huge injury problems. Their entire first-choice backline is still unavailable, and they're going to be without Rodrigo and Vinicius Jr. for the last 2 games of the La Liga season. In theory, they will be back for the Club World Cup, but we'll see. For Sevilla, they still have their injury problems as well, with all of Salas, Lokonga, and Pascual all going off injured in their victory in midweek, and the likelihood is all of them are going to miss this game. Ultimately, like I say, it's very hard to call games like this because neither side are particularly playing for much. The head-to-head record would definitely suggest that Real Madrid are going to get the result here, but anything's possible. I'm just going to go for a 3-1 victory to Real Madrid. And then finally, we have Real Sociedad taking on Girona. Technically, it is still possible that Real Sociedad can qualify for Europe, but they would have to win this game and win the other game, and Mallorca would have to lose to Getafe, and Espanyol would have to lose to Osasuna, and I believe Celta Vigo would have to beat Vallecano, and then all of Mallorca, Osasuna, Vallecano and Valencia would also have to lose on the final day, and Sociedad would have to win. That's the only way Sociedad can qualify for Europe. That's why I've put this game last. For Girona, they finally got themselves a win, and that win secured their safety with that man, 38-year-old Christian Stuani, delivering for them one more time to get them over the line and keep them safe in another La Liga season. To be honest, there isn't much more to say about this game. Sociedad are on a 6-game winless run. They're just not playing good football at the moment. They haven't even scored in any of their last 4. And before that win, Girona are on a pretty shoddy run of form as well. The bizarre thing is, a couple of weeks ago, I was talking about Girona potentially getting relegated. If they win this game, they actually go above Sociedad. Just shows how tight the La Liga season's been this year. Again, like I say, honestly, all 3 results are possible here. There's no real sort of gauge as to what teams are going to be put out because neither side are realistically playing for anything. So I'm just going to go for what I think is the most likely result here. The reverse fixture was a 1-0 win to Sociedad. It was a 0-0 draw the game before that. Like I said, Sociedad haven't scored in any of their last 4 matches, but they're still pretty solid defensively. So what I'm going to do is, for the second time in this video, I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw. And that is going to be it for this Game Week 37 preview and predictions. Thank you very much for watching if you're watching this for the first time. Like I said, don't forget to check out tomorrow's video where I do my explanations to what's going to be happening with the memberships and the future of the channel going forward. As always, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Let me know anything you think I've missed regarding any of these games. Let me know your predictions for these matches as well in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.